Welcome to A Girl's Guide to, the podcast designed to help women in their 20s enhance their minds, love their bodies, and heal their souls. I'm your host, Michaela, a girl navigating her 20s and helping you do the same. I am so happy and grateful that you are here. Let's dive in. Hello! Welcome to the first episode of A Girl's Guide to. I have my beautiful sister here with me today, and we're both nervous. We're just gonna get that out there.
Yeah.
We're feeling a little bit scared, but excited.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm excited.
We've got some things that we're gonna be
Some notes.
chatting about today, but
Yeah.
before we do that, I guess an introduction would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
So let's start with you. With you.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
So tell the people, who are you? A little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I am Sydney, or Sid, either one. I am 21. Only for less than 6 months I've been 21. Yeah, I am an artist. I work full time in the jewelry industry. Didn't go to school. After high school.
High school.
High school, didn't go to college. So I work full time. And yeah, I'm just living life out here
as a 21-year-old gay woman.
Oh yeah.
Clearly.
I'm very, very bright and colorful today. Yes, I am bisexual. And yeah,
living it up. Amazing. That's my sister, everybody.
This is Michaela.
I am Michaela. I am your host.
Woo!
And creator, I guess, of this podcast. I am 23. I will be 24 soon. My birthday's in December. Very exciting. And I'm a full-time creator, influencer. I also work with our dad, who's a home renovation. He's not a home renovation. He does home renovation. Home renovator. He's an entrepreneur, where I get my entrepreneurial spirit from. But I do a little bit of work with him as well. But my heart and soul is within my own business with the podcast and content creation, which I've been doing for almost 6 years now, which is crazy. Crazy. But content creation really started, like, for the both of us when we were kids. We did music videos and home movies, and this light won't stay on. All right, hold on. Let's fix that. All right,
we're back.
You know, with the first episode vibes, there's bound to be some tech kinks. What are we talking about here? Sydney, this is not like
that kind of kink. You freak.
Anyway, we're just going to keep it moving. So today, Sydney and I have prepared a little list. Each of us have prepared a list of some things that have been happening in our early 20s that we didn't really expect, or that have just been challenging for us. And we're just going to kind of lay it all out there, chat about it. And that's the episode, I guess. So I want to know what you had first.
Okay. So the first thing that I put, and I know you will probably get a little bit of this. A lot of the times when I was younger, in, middle school, high school era, I got the comment a lot that, gotta watch what you eat, because although it doesn't affect you now, it'll catch up to you one day. Definitely, from other older woman relatives in our family, definitely got that a lot. And it's something that I always thought about, like, they're just trying to scare me, because, like, when I was in high school, I gained a little bit of weight in high school, but I was never, like, to the point where I am now with my weight. And it's been kind of a challenge realizing that I can't eat what I could eat in high school.
Right.
And not have it affect my body,
True. Right, you have to be more conscious.
Yeah, especially because, like, in high school, you're so much more active. Like, you're actively walking around every day for classes, and, we did extracurriculars and all that stuff, so...
She was a band kid.
I was a band kid.
Color guard, tossing the...
So I did a lot of activities, a lot of exercise, a lot of just day-to-day, staying active. And being somebody who works in a factory and works at a desk, most of the day, I don't have that. So what I eat does affect not only my weight, but it affects, like, my health. and like my energy so much more now
Right.
as an adult who like isn't as active than it did when I was a teenager. You know?
I love that. That's a good realization, and I think that a lot of it too comes with, like you said, with like the older generations and like I don't know. I mean, do you feel like, I guess with all of these things, like not expecting them, I feel like we weren't really prepared, essentially. Like,
and like I said, I feel like a lot of people did say to me like, "Oh, you know, you better watch what you eat because one day it's going to catch up to you." And but it was never prepared for me in like a positive way.
right.
You know, it was
Where
never
it was like, hey, do these things so that way you can have a better relationship with your body as you grow up and you can be healthier, right?
Yeah,
It was more seen as like a negative
it
thing.
was never like presented to me as in like a hey, like for your health, these foods are probably not very good. It was more of like, you know, if you eat that when you're older, you're gonna gain weight. And like
As a kid,
as
you
a
don't
kid, I was
really.
like, I want the brownie. Like
Yeah.
why should I care
Right.
what, you know, 21 or even 25-year-old me is gonna think? Like I was 15, I wanted the brownie, you know?
Right.
So it's like coming to that realization that like I really do need to pay attention to what I'm eating because I don't have the time to be as active as I did. And I can be more active than what I am in my day to day life
Right.
now. But
It's just
when I
common.
was in school, I mean,
Right.
I was active all day, every day,
Absolutely.
you know?
Right.
So, like, I sit at a desk for 6 hours a day, you know? That cuts out a decent amount of time.
And just naturally too, as you get older, like your metabolism isn't
Yeah.
as fast. Like you have to work harder at those things when you start getting older. And I think it's especially important to focus on it now because although we're not teenagers, we're not kids, and we don't have those, same like perks of being able to eat whatever, we're still at a great age where we can transition into taking better care of ourselves, and our 40, 50, 60-year-old selves will be grateful for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that's the mindset that, you know, those people who made those comments should have had. It should have come from like a hey, like I worry about you, and you know, I see you eating, you know, a lot of things that although it may not physically alter your, you know, your appearance, it may be damaging to your health.
Right.
Like you're eating this stuff that's not good for you. And I truly believe everything in moderation, obviously. Like have the brownie every once in a while. Like I'm not
We're all
that,
for our Sonic runs, going to get our ice cream
like,
sundaes, our corn dogs.
I'm not saying that like I wish I'd go back and like never eat a brownie or never have ice cream. Like of course not. Like everything in moderation. I kind of am looking at it like that's what I should have been taught. Like I should have been taught everything in moderation rather than you can't eat that. That's bad for you. Right. Because as a kid,
it kind of does the opposite effect
I'm like,
too.
okay, well you don't want me to eat it, so I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah.
Like, and every kid has that little bit of like rebel, you know, mentality to them. So when it comes off as like a don't do that, that's absolutely terrible for you. I'm like, I want to do it. Like, yeah. So I guess the point of that one is just basically to say like you can eat what you want and you can eat in moderation, but to just do that, like just eat in moderation and
be more active,
make
an effort.
And be conscious and aware of the fact that the older you get, the harder it's going to be.
Right. Absolutely. But if you grasp it at a younger age, it won't be as hard. Like it will be harder just because of how the body is at an older age, but it won't be as hard if you already have taken care of yourself at a young age. Yeah. I love that. And I think a lot of these things too that we learn are really helpful for when we have kids someday. And that, I think that goes with every generation. It's the job of every generation to take what the generation before them did wrong and improve on it. Yeah. And we're gonna still fuck up. Yeah, we're still gonna, have things that we don't do perfectly as parents or just as people, and our kids and the generation after us can learn from that. But I think like that's the beauty of it, and that's the whole point of like having kids and having different generations is for everybody to get better with what we're all learning. And that's really a really good point, and something that I know for sure I want to hone in on my future children, because I mean, both of us have struggled a lot with our relationship to food and
Mm.
our mindset around what it means to be healthy.
Yeah.
So working on that at a young age and instilling that
Yeah.
positive mindset in kids at a young
Definitely.
age. And I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, right? Like society and
And
just
bullying
yeah.
and even just pressure at school, or all that stuff goes into a child's view and opinion of
Mm,
themselves. But I think as like the future parents that we want to be, it's our job to say, like, well, those kids that made fun of you, like, they're wrong.
right.
And it's
Mhm.
our job to instill in them the ideas that, like, you are beautiful and, like,
Mhm.
you are amazing no matter what you look like. Like,
Right.
who cares?
Right. Definitely. I love that. That was a you started strong right
That
out the
was
gate. You said
my
we're
first one.
I love that. All right. So my first thing that I didn't expect about my early 20s is the challenges around friendships, which is something that
That's on
you
my
and I
list.
knew it was going to be. I knew this was going to be on your list because we actually had a very in-depth conversation about this not that long ago, where we've both kind of been experiencing this growing apart from friends, not necessarily in a negative light. Like nothing has really happened between us and our individual friend groups, but it's just life, right? It just happens where everybody's starting to do their own things and have their own schedules and jobs. And friends of ours, you've got friends moving in together getting married. Like I have friends moving far away, and I think that I kind of expected. I think everybody says, oh, you grow apart, right? Seeing mom and dad growing apart just naturally. But what I mostly didn't expect, I guess, is the challenges around like making new friends or like finding the time to get together with the friends that you
Totally.
have.
Yeah.
And I think it can lead to feeling very alone. But I think from just conversations I've had with other girls on social media and yourself and other friends, like I think everybody kind of feels that way. Like
Yeah.
everybody kind of feels like they're lonely in times because it's just not as easy as it used to be like, hey, everybody come over my house for a fire tonight. Like it just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, I totally, totally, obviously, I
Yeah.
feel that. And I think my biggest issue with the making new friends part is that I have such a hard time not committing to plans, but I have a hard time initiating
Yes.
plans.
Yeah.
I have a
Right.
hard time, like, not with my friends, like, that I've had forever, but like new friends, I have this fear in me that, like, I'm gonna ask them to hang out. Like, let's say, like, my coworkers, like, I'm gonna ask them to hang out outside of work, and I have this fear that they're gonna be like, why would I do that? And then I'm gonna be like, oh, I thought
I thought we were on the same page here.
like, so that's like my biggest fear when it comes to like making new friends, is that, like, I'm gonna meet somebody that I see as a friend and they just see me as a person they know.
That's interesting. I wonder where that like belief came from, because have you had experiences like that before? Or
Yeah,
is
I
that kind
mean,
of
in like middle school, early high school, I definitely had some friends that
didn't
didn't
value the friendship?
value my friendship and didn't, like, see me as an equal. Like, I had multiple friend groups in my life where it was like I was the butt of the joke friend.
Right.
Um so I think maybe that comes from, like, I love very hard and
Yes.
very quickly, and
Yes.
I meet people and I'm like, I love this person. I want to hang out with them. Like, let's go get coffee and let's go get ice cream. And
Yeah.
I just feel like
We
I
get
just,
attached.
yeah,
We're lovers.
we're
Yeah.
lovers, and I just get very, like, excited and attached. And I've had a lot of people in the past
Who don't
not
reciprocate the energy.
reciprocate that,
Yeah.
and it's hard.
It's hard. And after it happening, so many times, I'm sure that takes a toll on you
Yeah.
wanting to make new friends.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I think also another thing for me is that being a creator and having a platform, like I can make friends so easily online. And I've made so many connections, I guess you could say. Oh, we've got this damn fruit fly flying around. I've been trying to kill it. it's gone for now.
For now.
But yeah, I think that a lot of people have that same fear.
Mm.
And I think social media has become it's a it's a pro and a con, obviously, social media, right?
Yeah.
Like I love social media, but when it comes to making friends, I think social media has made it harder to make friends because we're all just so comfortable being behind the screen and being
Mm.
like, love that girl, awesome. Like, we should get to. How many times have you been like, let's
All the
get
time.
together soon, right? And
All
then,
the
like,
time.
you don't actually do it. And
Especially
you
with like
know,
people I haven't seen in a while too.
right? And you know, either if that person's saying it to you or you're saying it to them, both of you know it's
You're
not
never
happening.
gonna get together.
It's not happening. But I think something that I've been personally working on is actually doing it, actually making an effort. Like if you genuinely like don't just say that just to say it, right?
Mm.
Like I think if you genuinely want to catch up with somebody or you genuinely want to befriend somebody, like actually make an effort
Yeah.
because I think like for me it's becoming easier doing it over and over, like not exhausting myself to the point where I'm like going to meet a new friend like every freaking day, but
Mm.
like I think like maybe trying once a week to meet up with somebody or to, I don't know, and like you said, initiate it.
Mm.
I think everybody has to remember, like, and I'm talking to myself too about this, like, we all have to remember that everybody has a busy life, and
Mm.
especially being in this chapter of your
Yeah.
life, like, it's crazy, right? So, making an effort, and if you think about somebody, right, like, I'll think about my friends, and we went to this church a while back. We've had some horror stories with churches. That'll have to be another conversation for another time. But we went to a church one time and there was a message that they were saying where it's like, if you think about somebody, let them know that you're thinking about them. It like just a simple text like, "Hey, I thought about you
And
today."
it can never hurt to tell somebody that you're thinking
No.
about them.
And I think that we need to do more of that in this chapter of our lives because, like I said, going back to the beginning of this, point is like a lot of people feel alone right
Mm.
now, especially like a lot of girls, especially if you're like in the position that we are where we're single. Like, I
Yeah.
think a lot of young women feel alone in this chapter of life. So if you can let somebody know that you're thinking of them, it
Mm.
goes a long way. Like, just think about how it'd feel if you got that message,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So,
And I think a lot of it with like the friendship and like your initial point with like watching your other friends and
mm,
like growing apart from your other friends, a lot of like my struggles with my friends are like all of my friends did go to or are in college.
right,
Um
right.
my friends have degrees and like
Same here.
two of my friends are high school teachers.
Yeah, I've got a friend
Two
who's a freaking nurse.
two of my
Like,
friends are getting married, just moved into their, first place together, like, and all of my friends in my, immediate friend group are in relationships.
right.
Um
So then you get into the whole comparison
yeah, and
thing.
a lot of it, your mind obviously goes to, well, they're getting married and she's in a relationship and they're moving out and you compare yourselves to your friends and it's tough to do that and it's tough to not do it.
Oh yeah,
You
it's
know?
natural.
It's
Everybody
it's
does
so
it.
natural. Not even just your friends, just compare yourself to the world.
That's literally point 3 is lots and lots of comparison, confusion, and overwhelm.
Yes, like
Like
just it doesn't even have to be your friends. It can just be people you know. Like I have so many people that I graduated with that are married, have children, live in their own home, live in their
moms
own
of
apartment.
3, like
Yeah, like and
it's
I'm like,
crazy.
I don't even know if I'm in the job that I want to have, as a career,
Right.
you know?
And I think it's totally okay, and I think the other thing too is like we only see the people who are doing like differently than us.
And we
And we
also
don't really
only see the good side.
right,
You
right.
don't know, like,
That
that
person
that
could
mom of 3 could be freaking exhausted. She could be like,
I'm
"Oh
sure
my
sh
god, I'm
I'm sure
dying,"
she's
like
exhausted.
and to move on to my next point, mentioning my job, that is
Yeah.
my next point is, just the career path. And
Oh,
especially being people who didn't go to
go to college,
college.
right.
Um,
And having to kind of navigate the guilt almost.
yeah, a
Even
lot of
though I
it
know we both don't regret our
and
decision.
and not coming from our parents because neither of our parents graduated from college.
Our dad didn't even graduate high school.
Yeah,
got his GED though.
Did.
Great job, Dad. Mom's going back to school. Great job, Mom.
You know, so that's great. But I know that there's no, you know, sense of
right or wrong,
like from our parents. But I do know, and we've both had instances where people in our, you know, just in our circle of life,
right?
Who
circle of sorry, I had to.
People in our circle of life who have judged us and told us we're wrong for not going to school. And I just think that's so wrong, because everyone's path is different, you know? And like, I sound so cliche, but it's true. Like,
it's true.
Everyone has a different path. Like, I work with people who went to school for jewelry. I work with people who have never had any jewelry experience before the job, and they're some of the top people in the company I work with, you know? So it's like, everybody is on their own path, and I think that the pressure for people our age to figure out what you want to do, go to school, like spend all this money, you know, and like,
it's great if it works for you.
And if, of course, like I said, all my friends are in school or went to school, and I love and support them, and I'm so proud of them. But it's like,
but the love and support is not reciprocated to those who don't go to college.
Yes.
I feel like not from our friends. That's not what I mean. I just mean like in the public eye, in society, it's like, oh, okay, after high school, you're gonna go to college, and if you do that, then you're on the right path. And if you feel that that's not the right path for you, it's very confusing, because all the noise around you is like, well, you have to do that.
Yeah.
But I think like it says a lot about an individual, you know, like yourself, like myself, like when we have that self-awareness of, okay, no matter what the noise is, no matter what society is saying, I don't feel like that's right for me. I'm not going to go down that path. And I mean, like for me, I went back to school. I went to cosmetology school last year, and you know, that was a whole thing, which I can't even believe I did that. But
I think it's important for us as, you know, young, early 20-year-olds to be loud and proud about the fact that we didn't go to school, because there's a lot of kids, I'm sure, you know, like our brother's a senior in high school, and that's when I realized I didn't want to go to school.
Right.
You know, excuse me. Right after, like right before I graduated, or like right after I graduated.
I was literally like, about to sign up for school.
I put down my deposit for
like
my classes.
And it's like that feeling. It's just like, this is not
and
right.
I cried to my mom, and I was like, I cannot do this. I was like, I can't go. It's just not for me. And
which is so weird, because let's just like say that we loved school.
Both.
We were great students. Like we loved school.
But
so
it's just,
it was a very weird time. And even now it still kind of is. I mean, at this point it's been 5, almost 6 years since I graduated, which is disgusting. But like at this point, I'm very firm in my belief that like I made the best decision for me. But in those first couple of years, it was definitely a challenge of feeling like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Because I think the other thing too is like, you go from being in this structured environment for what,
to just kind of being
12 years of your life,
released into the wild.
And then it's like, okay, go figure it out now. And it's a lot.
And I think that as like a 17, even 16, 17, 18-year-old in high school, all the talk is, you know, your college essay and where are you going to college, and your college applications and your college tours and college this and college that and college this and college that. And I remember when I was in high school, when I was a senior, one of my best friends had decided that she didn't want to go to college. And she said to the teacher, what do I do for this assignment? Because I'm not going to college.
And they were like, what do you mean?
And the teacher was like, you still have to do the assignment, like it, just in case you change your mind.
I think it's like frustrating that it's frustrating that more options are not presented to us. I mean, unless you go to like a vocational high school. But I think that it's important to remember that like if you're in our position where you didn't go to college and you're figuring it out, like we've both worked multiple jobs since graduation, like figure it out. My dad always says to us like, try everything, because how do you know?
Try everything.
Is that a song?
Yeah, it's from Zootopia.
I don't know if I've seen that movie. I think I have, actually. But yeah, like try everything. And also there's no timeline. There's no rule book. Like, you can do it however you want to do it. Like we just said, our mom is going back to school. She's in her early 40s. Like, our dad went and got his GED in his early 30s. And a lot of these, like, people too that you look up to, very, like, well established businessmen and women, or just celebrities, like, a lot of people didn't find their thing until later on in life. And I also had this realization just a couple weeks ago of, like, I think maybe we weren't created to have a thing. Like, we grow. Think about the opinions and interests that you have now versus the opinions and interests that you had 10 years ago. Obviously, some of them are the same, right? But you're a totally different person than you were 10 years ago, right? You're a totally different, I'm a totally different person. Like, so to think that we will only have one thing for our whole lives, I think is silly. I think, like, we should allow ourselves to evolve the with the changes in our opinions and interests over time. And, like, if that means that you end up doing a million different things, you have a million different jobs, or, like, go with what feels good.
Yeah, totally. And I think I'm fortunate to have found a job that I do love, and I love the people, I love the environment. Like I said, I work in a jewelry factory.
Haverhill in Warren, Rhode Island. I'll leave the info in the show notes. Check them out. Beautiful jewelry, great for holiday season. A little plug. It's not sponsored.
Free plug.
But free plug.
But yeah, I've always wanted to work in fashion my whole life. Like, if you go back, and my aunt probably still has my notebooks that I used to draw in at her house from when I was a kid, like 5 years old, drawing dresses and drawing like pictures and dressing up my dolls, and like always my whole life I've wanted to work in fashion, and that idea has always been close.
Right.
And then I got offered a job in jewelry, and I was like, wait a minute, that's fashion.
Yeah.
And I've worked there for a year and a month, so like 13 months
Which
now.
is crazy, yeah.
And I'm in love. Like, I am so obsessed with it. And I think this goes along with Michaela's thing of saying, like, try everything. Is like, I never thought to try jewelry.
Right.
And it is in the realm of what I've always said I wanted to do.
Right.
And it's
but
still
it never came up.
It never came into my mind. And also, like, I got this job because I applied in my ex's dorm room. I sat there and I applied to 15 jobs. 2 of them messaged me. I responded and they never got back. And Haverhill is the only job that called me. They called me and talked to me.
Right.
After applying to like 15 jobs in one day, and no one responded except them. And I was like, it's a job. I need money. Like, I had been unemployed for a couple of months. I was like, I need money. Like, I just need something. So I took it. I took it as, part-time, seasonal. And a month in,
now she's running the place.
A month in, they asked me to stay on year-round full-time. I left the nannying job that I had at the time to pursue this. And, like,
it's turned out way better than you expected.
It's just been amazing. Like, it's been an awesome experience, and I do see myself with this company for quite some time. But it goes to the point of, like, this is not what I wanted.
Right. Or what you had thought you wanted.
This is not what I thought I wanted, But now that I'm here, I'm happy. Like, I love my job.
Right. Sometimes opportunities come that we don't necessarily want, but that we need. We just don't actually know it yet. And then when it happens, it's like, wow, like, that's why that happened. Like, I look back at my 5 years and look at the different jobs I've had and going back to school. And I'm like, especially with cosmetology, I'm like, I don't use that license, but there's a reason why it happened.
She did use it to help me do my hair.
Well, I don't want to take too much credit. It's box dye. I'm not really a fan of box dye, but
she shaved the back of it too.
But yeah, I mean, like, everything that you do, it's like a domino effect, right? Like, it's gonna lead you to your next place. And I think that as long as you're making decisions based on what feels good to you, you block out the noise. Hopefully you have a really good support system like we do. then like you're never going to make a wrong move if
Mhm.
you're doing what feels good to
Yeah.
you.
And I think the other thing, like this kind of goes back to the friendship point, is like I've met some of the best people I've ever known through my job.
Mhm.
And part of this is like a little sad because two of my closest friends at work are
Oh,
leaving
yeah.
within the next 2 months.
I almost said RIP, but
They are alive.
they're alive.
They're both just moving on to bigger and better things, and I'm happy for them. But it goes back to like the friendship thing of like I've found like great friends in this company, and some of the really like the best people that I've ever known I work with. But it's also like you lose friends a lot more in when you have when you have more friends at work, it's easier to lose them because a lot of people in like especially in our age range
Mm.
are in and out of jobs.
Right.
You
True.
know?
I feel like I've made some really great connections with people in jobs I've had, and then you just leave or
You
they
just
leave,
leave
and
and
it's
it's
life.
bittersweet.
Yeah.
And I know I'll be like sad for a little bit after they both leave, but it's like
But it's also really cool to think about how many people that you've connected with
and cross paths with.
because of all the different things that we've
Yeah.
done. You know what I mean? Like I think about the restaurant industry,
Mhm.
especially because we the two of us and our mom worked in the restaurant industry for quite some time. Our mom like years.
Yeah.
And you meet so many people, not even just coworkers, but
But
like
like
guests. And
regulars.
so it's
Yeah.
like making connections with people, I think is just, I mean, not something that I really have written down, but just in general, like kind of going back to feeling lonely, like making connections when you just go out places, like even like with strangers. We're big on like
I
talking
did it
with
like 3
strangers.
times today and I wanted to tell you I love to like compliment strangers.
Right.
And
Me too.
and this woman today I told her that I loved her sunglasses and she looked like she was going to cry when she thanked me.
She's probably having
And
a
I
bad
was like
day.
she was probably having such a rough day. She was like, "Thank you so much." And I was like, "You're welcome." But yeah,
that.
I think, to your point of like making connections is like there are obviously connections you'll make throughout your life that will last a lifetime. Like I think
Right.
back to when I worked at my last job, like when I worked at Tom's and my old boss Mike, like I will always love and care for him and like
Right.
he still reaches out on my birthday and like I still go and see him. Like so there's connections like that you'll make that will last a lifetime, but how amazing is it that there's so many connections you make in this world that
Mhm.
like whether or not they last a lifetime, like it's a good connection.
Yeah.
It's
Like
special
for
there's
sure.
so many people in this world that like I can think back to and be like I only knew them for like a month, but it was like
A great
a
connection.
great connection that we had.
Yeah. I think that is something that I have to continue working on as far as like not isolating myself and like making, like I said earlier, making an effort to actually make friends or talk to people when I go out or whatever, because it kind of just reminds you like there are great people out there. There
Yeah.
are, people who will make you smile or whatever the case may be. But yeah, friendships.
Friendships and jobs.
Friendships and jobs.
We're like 3 of my points were friendships and jobs.
And my next point is changes in relationship with your parents, which did you have that?
My next point was about how my parents treat me as like a kid sometimes.
Yes, which like I don't
That's
know if mom and dad will
crazy.
watch this, but we
Okay.
just want
To preface this, if you are mom and dad,
this is not the blame game.
it's not the blame game.
This is just
it's
our truth.
It's the change
Yeah.
of us becoming adults.
Right.
And it doesn't mean to say like you only treat us as kids.
I mean, we are your kids.
We are your kids.
Right.
You know?
But I literally wrote here transition from child to adult child.
We are the same brain. We share one brain.
We knew this.
This is insane.
I knew we were gonna. When I told her, I was like, list like 3 to 5 things, and I was like, watch us have the exact same things.
That's crazy, bro.
But really, I think this has been a very hard transition, especially because we live at home.
And we're very close, with our family.
I think that if we didn't live at home, this wouldn't necessarily be as challenging because I think for those people who do move out, who go to college, who get their own place, like the transition is immediate, right? It's like, wow, that's my adult child.
And like they're out of the house, like you don't see them as much, and they have more responsibilities to feed themselves, to just take care of themselves, just exist on their own day to day without their parents. And we are very fortunate that our mother makes us dinner every night.
We love her.
In the weeks,
yes,
the weekdays, and our grandparents make us dinner every weekend, every Sunday.
We're very, very blessed. Very blessed.
And we're also fortunate enough to have a father who is able to support us financially when we have struggles. And we do all live together, so when this one's car is in the shop or broken down, like we have
today rides. I had to bring her to get her car.
Like, and our grandparents are right down the street, so we have a very large and strong support system,
and definitely something that's not common. Like what we have is very rare, and we're very, very grateful for that. And I don't want this message to be misconstrued as us not being grateful. I think it's just like a challenge that going from a kid to a young adult in your parents' eyes when you still live at home, like I think there's boundaries that need to be put into place. I think there's, our dog is barking, hopefully you can't really hear her, but
then the folks upstairs were supposed to stop her.
To keep her from barking. But boundaries needs to be put into place. I think there needs to be adult conversations had of like, okay, hey mom and dad, like I feel like this thing that you said kind of made me feel like I was a child or I was a kid, and I really didn't like the way you said that. And I think it goes two ways though, because if you, as the adult child, the young woman, if you don't mention that these things bother you, or you don't, which is funny because we just had this conversation, like if you don't make the effort to have the conversation and to bring up how you're feeling, your parents, or really whoever it is, they're not going to know, right? People are not mind readers. They can't tell how you're feeling, right? Sometimes we think it should be obvious that like your comment made me upset, but it's not always obvious, and we just have to have those conversations. And I think with parents, it's harder because you're still looking at yourself, especially like living at home and such, like you kind of look at like, well, am I allowed to say this because like I'm the kid?
And we're also still partially dependent on our parents.
I'm dependent. I will say that for sure.
Yeah, like obviously, like I do, we both pay for certain things monthly, and
absolutely,
and
we're not just like free riding, like, but we help out, like we do our part.
I do come home and ask my mom what's for dinner tonight.
She loves it. She loves dinner no matter what she says.
Or even like I'm trying to sell my car and like I need my dad's help with that,
right?
Or I need to go get a new phone, I ask my dad to come to the store with me,
which I think is totally okay, and I think it's great. I think a lot of people probably wish that they had that relationship,
would come to the store with them, or would help them get rid of their car. And it also goes both ways in a sense of, as 20-year-olds, or even like Robbie's age, like as an almost 18-year-old, like we do need to remember that we live under their roof.
Absolutely.
Like, and this goes for everybody. Like if you are living with your parents, yes, you are an adult,
right?
Yes, you deserve respect, and you deserve to be heard
and have boundaries
and have boundaries place. But in the long run, like this is their home, and they do pay the bills, right. So if there's a even like just, hey, like I'd prefer if you came home at a certain time because I wait up for you,
but
like
have a conversation about it,
like, and that's something you can have a conversation with your parents. And like if you're 25 and your parent says please be home by 9 p.m, like I mean that's different. But I mean like my parents and I, we've decided, and it's been a minute since we've talked about it, but last we talked, they asked if I be home by 2:00 if I go out. And I think that's perfectly reasonable. Absolutely. I mean, I really don't want to be out much later than that anyways. But I just think out of respect for my parents, knowing that they are waiting up for me, like my mom is.
Yeah, dad's knocked.
Dad's not. But my mom, like she isn't fully in a deep sleep until she knows I'm home.
Right.
Like, as out of respect for her, I'm gonna follow that. Like I'm gonna accept that wish of hers, and I'm gonna say, you know what,
respect the boundary that she's
like
set.
She is knowing that I'm an adult, she's okay with me going out and having fun and doing my thing, as long as I respect her wishes of, hey, don't stay out till 5 a.m. because I'm not going to get any sleep.
I think the respect just needs, it's a two-way street. And I also think that conversation is so powerful, but you have to remember that, like, sometimes I think as, kids, like anybody, no matter what age you are, you're a child to somebody, right?
Yeah, you're always someone's kid.
Right. Sometimes having these challenging conversations, for some reason, when it's with your parent, there can be a little bit more animosity and like some tension around it, I think. So I think it's important to have an adult conversation with respectful tones, and it's the delivery of how you say things. If your parent is doing something or saying something to you, that you feel is just uncalled for, or kind of makes you once again feel like you're being treated like a child or whatever, and you're like, hey, I don't feel like that is very fitting, have a conversation about it, but be respectful, because nobody wants to listen to you if you're screaming or you're being disrespectful. Then you're not going to be heard. Your boundary's not going to be accepted. And I know not everybody is as fortunate to have a good relationship with their parents where who listen to them,
open up and talk.
Right. So definitely, I know that's not the case for everyone.
And be aware of your surroundings. Obviously, like I don't want to say this and then someone tries it and they get themselves in trouble. Like if this isn't the relationship you have with your parents, there may be a different route for you to go about. Right. But
but just in general,
like it's okay to have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
Especially like it doesn't even have to be a parent. It could just be like someone who's older than you. Like
like a mentor or somebody who like
these people who were friends of a friend of mine, and they were all much older than me, and they spoke to me like I was a child. And they weren't like 40 years older than me. They were just 6 to 8 years older than me,
which really is not that big of a gap.
And they spoke to me like I was 12. And I remember just thinking like, hey, like I am an adult here.
Right.
Like just because you're a little bit older than me doesn't mean that I'm a child. And I think that respect in conversations should go no matter who you're talking to.
Oh yeah, no matter the age or
not even adults.
No, just
in general. Like
just in general, right?
Like with like our brother and Taylor, like, and his girlfriend, like even just the two of them, like yeah, they're still legally kids and they're 17, but they deserve just as much. They deserve just as much respect. Just because they're not adults doesn't mean they don't deserve respect. Or even, our little cousin, she's 9 years old. Well, guess what?
I know.
As much as it's like she won't always understand the rules and she won't always understand why she can't do things, she deserves the explanation. Yeah. She doesn't deserve that, well, because I'm the adult and I told you so. Like I feel like as humans, like just in general, like if we're talking to people who are younger than us, they still deserve the same respect that you would give to anybody.
I know. I feel like this little segment here has turned into a podcast that parents need to listen to in older generations, because I
genuinely
think,
though, like
it's a lot of the older generations that are like, respect your elders, and I'm the adult, I'm the parent, like just be respectful, because we're all human.
Like I get respect your elders, but it's beyond that. Respect people.
Yeah.
Respect people who respect you.
Yeah.
That's it. And if everybody respects everybody, then we won't have an issue. Like I just think that no matter your age, no matter who you are, like what you do with your life, everybody deserves your respect.
Yeah.
I think it goes a long way saying that to parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, like the older generations coming from people who were very recently children. Like we were kids like a few years ago.
We came out the womb yesterday.
Like I can tell you right now that I have so much more respect for my elders who respected me when I was a kid.
Yes. Oh, that deserves some snaps. That was good. That was good.
I have so much more respect now as an adult for the people who showed me respect for my entire life. If you didn't show me respect when I was a kid, there is a good chance that today, as an adult, I have very little respect for you.
Yeah. Powerful stuff, Sid. Powerful stuff. But I think, like, just to go back to the whole unexpectedness of this, it's like I didn't expect it, I guess, to be so challenging to
still
earn that respect.
Yeah.
To earn that respect and to be seen as a young adult who's making my decisions. Like, when we decided we weren't going to go to college, it's like, oh, well, are you sure that's the right move? Are you sure you're doing the right thing?
Like,
It's like,
this is
how
my
about
life.
how about respect the decision I'm making just because I'm young? Like, it's still my body, my, mind that's having these thoughts.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think that a lot of that from, people who give us that advice, it comes from, well, I have so much life experience. Well,
your life's not my
you
life.
have to remember that, like, we all have life experience.
Right.
Like, and that's something that I'm trying to, remind myself is when, I do think, yes, like, there are people who have more life experience than me. My parents have more life experience, but
Right.
I have 21 years of life experience. That's
Right.
a decent amount of time.
That's quite some time.
So when I make a decision for my own life, it's based off of my
Your
life experience.
Right. And
You
we
know?
shouldn't make decisions
Based
for
off of
ourselves based on other people.
people.
Like, that makes no sense. But also something that I know we've been talking a lot about, that goes with this whole, relationship with parents and, just even like maybe grandparents is the conversations that we're having to educate the older generations on, like,
I
just
don't know why I was like,
obviously our generation and the world now is very different compared to what our parents or our grandparents have experienced.
and thankfully different in a more accepting way.
Right.
I think obviously there are still plenty of challenges that this world
absolutely.
faces, and a long ways to go when it comes to being
Right.
accepting.
Right. But it's definitely, we've progressed in a
Yeah.
really great way.
Yeah.
And I think that we can get frustrated as young adults and just, I mean, people, but especially at this age when we've grown up in a very different society with a lot of different, like you said, acceptances that were
Yeah.
not normal back in the day. We can get frustrated when people say things that are no longer like okay to say or are just not the correct way to say things.
Yeah.
And I think it's our job to educate and to we try to do this, like, our grandparents are, in their 60s, 70s, and sometimes things are said that they don't understand, that, like, what's being said is maybe not the best way to say it, but it's our job to not yell, not be like,
attack.
you're an awful person for saying these things or doing these things. It's, hey, let me explain why that's not cool, or let me give you a better way to say something like this. And I think, like, that has been very unexpected for me because as a kid, it was obviously whatever you're hearing is the truth, right? Whatever you're hearing is the right thing. But as you grow up, you obviously have your own opinions and your own morals, your own beliefs, and you're more aware to the world. So you're going to have more of a say. And it's been a challenge for me to feel like I have a right to have a say because of growing up with, like, oh, I'm the kid, I'm the adult, you're the kid.
As a kid, we do so much of receiving information, right? We do so much, well, this is what, what you're taught. You go through school, you have your parents, your grandparents, like, you do so much receiving information as a kid that in my 20s, I'm discovering, like, I have so much information to give.
Yeah.
I have so much information that people who taught me as a child, I have information that they don't know.
Right.
Because the world changes with every generation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's something that should be celebrated. I think that's something that should be accepted, the fact that the world changes and the world grows.
It's beautiful, absolutely.
It's awesome. But I think that I didn't realize that, like, as the world's changing, like, I'm growing up, so I'm in this changing world. And, our parents, our grandparents are kind of outside of it.
Right.
So it's our responsibility to, help them and show them the changing world and show them, like, right from wrong in
Right.
in today's society, and
Be the voice, be the
yeah,
vessel.
be the voice. Yeah, and I was even just talking today at work about how when I came out to my grandmother, it's a really funny story. But when I came out to my grandmother, I had just gotten into a car accident, and you know, it was a big thing, and it wasn't really important at the time because I had just gotten into a car accident. But I just remember the next day her texting me and saying, like, just so you know, like, your grandfather and I will, oh, sorry, I'm gonna get emotional.
Oh, it's okay.
She texted me and said, you know, just so you know, your grandfather and I will always love you, no matter what, and we support you. And as a young, closeted person, that was so great to hear.
Right.
Because, like, I know what world our grandparents are from.
Right.
And I know that, you know, they probably don't understand. But I've used my voice and you know, my life experience, and I've been in multiple queer relationships, and
Woo,
I've used
gay.
it.
Every time I see anything rainbow, I'm always like, Sid, gay.
I've used it as my way of showing them, like, this is the world we live in.
Right.
Like, there are plenty of people out there like me, and they've just shown me, just through, you know, the past few years, how much they truly, like, love and care, and like they don't
great.
have malicious intent.
No, I think that they've been great role models in a way for other people in older generations of what it's like to adapt.
Yeah.
I think obviously it's very challenging, and they're not perfect in that way. No, nobody's perfect,
Yeah,
obviously.
of course not.
But I think that yeah, I think it's like you said, it's our job to let them know, to show them the changing world,
like, this
and
is
and
the world,
right.
like,
and just to kind of go back to, you know, relating it to being like in your 20s, and this whole transition from child to adult child, don't be afraid to use your voice. Don't be afraid to speak up. And I always like to think too, like, if a conversation with a parent or a friend or whoever, if you're speaking your truth and, you know, you're delivering it in a respectful way, and that person is defensive or they come at you, they attack you, like, that says way more about them than it does you. And that doesn't mean that your opinions and your voice don't matter. It just means that that person has a lot more healing to do.
And I think in the long run, if the people in your circle don't respect your voice and don't respect your opinion, I think you have some evaluating to do.
Like, yeah.
And I think this goes back to the friend conversation and just saying, like, there are people, like, even, you know, it's so funny, this all connects, because even, like, with friends and or coworkers or your job, like, there are people that I spent time with in my life and in my past that didn't respect who I was and didn't care to learn about the queer community or, you know, about just different aspects of the growing world, and just said, like, oh, well, you know, I miss the way things used to be, and, like, you know, and I've known people like that, and I found a place where the people that I work with now and the people in my circle now are people who are accepting.
Right. And you never stopped. That's the
Yeah.
important thing. You never stopped being yourself because of that.
Yeah.
You just removed yourself from
that
those
environment.
situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's right to say, like, oh, well, this group of people doesn't respect me and my life, so I guess I just have to hide.
Or I guess I just have to conform to what their idea
Like, no.
of life
Be
is.
yourself and find the people that support you for being yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh. What a great conversation this has been. You even cried on the first
I
episode.
did. You know what? I knew I was going to.
I had a feeling you might.
I've had an emotional week and I'm lacking nutrition. So
yes. But did you have anything else? Because we pretty much covered everything
that we had shared points.
Everything just came
I
together.
just think that, you know, it's important to just. Here's my thing. Ready? Here's my final thought. My final thought.
Just talking to you now.
Just be yourself. That's all that really matters. Look at me. I gotta stand up. Look at the pants.
She flipped her rainbow
I
Vans.
have rainbow shoes over there. I have your big poof on and a side ponytail. I look like I'm straight out of the 80s.
Totally different aesthetics going on, but...
And I went to work like this today. And I walked into work and one of my coworkers went, "You're very colorful today." And I said, "Yes, I am. Thank you." And you know what? I love this outfit. And this shirt I've had since like sophomore year of high school. And I never wore it in high school because I thought people would think it was stupid. And now I wear it all the time because it's one of my favorite shirts. So you know what? Be yourself, love yourself, screw what anybody else thinks, and just live your life. Like, don't go to college. Wear the clothes you want to wear. Don't, like, stop conforming to society and just live your freaking truth, man. Like, I sound like a hippie, but, like, that's my big thing, is just be yourself and just screw everybody. Like, I don't even mean it in a cliche way. Like, I have been so much happier in my life since I've decided, fuck everybody.
Yeah.
I'm me. Fuck everybody else's opinions. Like,
I love it. I agree. And I think that embracing the unexpected, embracing the unknown of your early 20s, like, we're not here to figure it out. I've kind of realized this recently, like, with you saying, like, you've become much happier, like, finally being like, fuck everybody. I've become much happier not trying to figure out life. Like, once I've made this realization of, like, I'm not here to find out why I'm here. I'm here to just live. I'm here to experience. I'm here to connect.
Yeah.
Like, that's made me so much happier, especially in this new chapter of life where it feels like you have to have the answers. It feels like you have to have it figured out. No, you don't. Nobody does. Not even people who are on their deathbed. They're probably still being like, what the fuck was this all for? You know, like, but I think, like, you know, if you live a life of truth, if you live a life of just being yourself and doing things that feel good to you and that make you happy, you're gonna look back on your life and be like, wow, I don't know what this was all for, you know, I don't know what's to come, but I know that I lived a really great life.
And that I had fun.
Right. Have fun. Oh my God. Have fun. Please have fun. Like, I feel like,
especially in your 20s,
especially now,
have fun. Like, I get it. We need money. Of course, it sucks, but we do.
Right.
But, like, don't
sacrifice like
your
everything.
time just being
miserable.
Like, have fun.
Balance, right? Just like what we're talking about with eating in moderation. You've got to live in moderation. You've got to go to work sometimes, but other times you've got to have fun.
And oh my God, I keep burping.
That's okay.
I also remembered the co-star that I got.
Almost done.
The co-star that I got the other day, which was very helpful.
Co-star's an app, by the way, for those who don't know, because I didn't know at first. And then
Co-star's an app. I read in my horoscope every day. The one I got the other day, it was don't overanalyze your life.
Ooh, love it.
I thought that was really powerful because I overanalyze every emotion I have, and I go, is this my anxiety? Is this my ADHD? Is this my depression? Like, what is causing me to have this emotion? Just like, it's just life. Like, I'm just a human.
Right.
Humans have emotions.
Right. Just feel it, and then
just feel it and go, oh, I feel like I want to do a cartwheel right now. Do the fucking cartwheel. Like, that's, like, and I feel like we spend so much time trying to just, like,
have the
figure
answers.
shit out and have the answers. Just live. Just live. Live and let live.
Just live.
Live in la vida loca.
Live in la vida loca. Okay. On that note, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. So thank you so very much for tuning in. Hey, Sid.
Hey, Michaela.
Where can they find you?
Hey! I feel like Frank Alvarez.
If you guys listen or watch The Basement Yard, we love you, because I have to say, like, I've always wanted to do a podcast, but ever since diving into The Basement Yard, it, like, totally inspired us.
Frank and Joe.
I
love you more than anyone in this entire world.
Anyways, where can they find you?
My Instagram is Mo ___ Sid SYD. So that is Mo __ Sid. That's me on Insta, and on TikTok. Let's look, because I don't know.
I think it's like Sid.
My TikTok, no. Well, my name on TikTok is Sid Goulet, but my @ is Sydney G Baby with 3 Y's.
I'll have it in the show notes too.
Yeah.
So
That's me.
you wanna
Follow me.
go-
I post a lot of body positivity content, a lot of photo shoot content, and me lip syncing and doing my own makeup. And I dye my hair like once every 3 months. That too.
Yeah, so be sure to go follow Sid. You can follow me at Michaela Sadie on TikTok and on Instagram. And you can follow the show at A Girl's Guide to Podcast on TikTok and on Instagram. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We'll have a new episode dropping every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern. And that is what we have for you today.
Peace.
Peace.
Living la vida loca.